It's the book of Isaiah chapter 24. I'm gonna get straight to the point. And it reads, "The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant." I'm gonna start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Hakodash. I want to say double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquath out there listening and learning, Lord willingly. This is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations who won't subscribe to this truth to you. Say Shalom. So brother, y'all, what's up? I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai. And pretty much this lesson is pretty much inspired by an article I just seen. I'm going to show the title of the article real quick. It says, I may not even bring any of it out, but it says nearly 368,000 pounds of Oscar Mayer turkey bacon recalled over possible listeria contamination. This is within an hour. It says nearly 368,000 pounds of Oscar Mayer turkey bacon products are being recalled over possible contamination with listeria bacteria that could cause food poisoning, federal health officials said Wednesday. No illnesses have been confirmed to date, U.S. Agriculture Department officials said. And that could be a multitude of things. It could have not kicked in yet. It could be lying wait. Or it could be they could just be taking food off the shelves. I mean, these devils come in with so many angles, you know. And I was just thinking, like, this place is so fucking defiled. Something actually lawful is defiled. You know what I mean? Just like the people. These people are defiled. There's so much going on, with the P Diddy situation, which, don't be surprised if he only get a couple months or he literally like get pardoned. Charges mysteriously dropped and whatnot, and that again, like I said before, we about to really see the wicked, you know, have their reign. It's always darkest before the dawn. You know, and what was so laughable about the situation is you had hundreds of people that testified. I didn't watch any of that shit, but it took place as far as the verdict while I was washing, and the lady at the laundromat, Jake Simple and shit, because they like, well, I'm glad he got off, on some O.J. Simpson type shit, But the thing is this, I said, the thing is this. In actuality, you had real people affected by that. That wasn't these entertainers or superstars or elites. They say right after, right before they pretty much read the verdict, a couple weeks or something like that. DJ Trump talked about how before he ran for office, that how DJ Trump and P Diddy were friends. Then, like I said, these charges mysteriously dropped. I mean, again, this is a defiled place. Matter of fact, let me get this. This is the book of First John chapter 5 and verse 17, and it reads, Salakia, verse 19, and it reads, and we know that we are the Most High, and the whole world lieth in wickedness. And the reason why the whole world lieth in wickedness is because who's in rulership? The book of Job, Salakia, chapter 9, verse 24, tells you that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? We know by the book of Malachi, chapter 1, it tells you that the wicked, or Esau Edom, is the border of wickedness, which you have wicked individuals, especially of our nation. 2/3 of the nation of Israel pretty much are, wicked. They're going to refuse to come back and hearken. Your PDDs, your entertainers, for the most part. Now, I'm not saying that the Lord can't reach some of the entertainers. The Lord so cold. You got great men that actually had things going on in the world and may still do. Glenn, we play Clark Kent to your Superman. That's how you're supposed to be. Scriptures even say that not let your left hand know what your right hand doing. But I was just sitting back thinking back, like this is such a cold setup how the Lord got it, because no matter what you're gonna do or what you think you could do, the Lord 10 steps ahead. So like the beloved elder, I ain't gonna mention no states or nothing. 'Cause you motherfuckers. But at the end of the day, he made a statement. He said, what if they come to get you? What's your best bet? What's your option? You might as well just go with them. Like I said, I heard Ruler speaking on, it might be a situation where the Lord can make you look like somebody else, or they can't see you. The Lord could do anything if you truly believe in it. So, you know, trusting in, the scriptures tell you that in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, cursed be the man that make a flesh his own arm, when you trusting in your own power. With what we're seeing, you know, that's why we need a deliverer, you know. But I was just thinking about that. I'm like, with all this wicked ass shit, with this whole P. Diddy situation, and just with the wickedness that's increasing, and then they recall something that was lawful, and that's why the scriptures talk about come up out of her, Scriptures talk about rise up, you women that are at ease, men settle on their lees, come up out of her, because this place is what's that, Revelation, come up out of her because her sins have reached onto the heavens, and that's why this place is going to be pretty much bombarded with those ICBM missiles. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter, and it's prophecy. I'm gonna go straight to that because this wasn't meant to be long. I was gonna do something on the verdict because he's so happy, and then like I said again, just showing you how, what's the word, desensitized people are to wickedness. Yeah, as far as like a lot of people didn't feel sorry for Cassie, then you got individuals that did. I could give a fuck less because my 2 cents is this, you know, at the end of the day, that's just like a female that chooses a dope boy, right? It's things come with a dope boy. It's just like when a Jake chooses to jump off the porch and be in the streets. Things come with that. So like you choose a dope boy. So when that money slow up, or when the niggas kicking in your or pushing in the dough, you know what I mean. These are things that come with that. So at the end of the day, watch, you can hold it right here. At the end of the day, with that being said, pretty much, you can't really feel sorry for her, especially when she got like a $30 million payday. I mean, she got paid, you know, for suffering. So, or supposedly suffering when she really didn't suffer. She literally enjoyed a lot of the things she partook into, from the freak offs. They was talking about how she would call certain individuals. You got to remember, she met her husband through P Diddy. I think he paid for the training. He might be her handler. You know what I mean? I remember, you would have believed in people so bad, but then, like I say again, the scriptures say the whole world life in wickedness, and that's why the elder said what he said. He said, all the entertainers and athletes, they all suspect, they all questionable, because you giving over to this world, and if you want things in this world, you have to compromise morals and integrity, and you have to do some like compromising type shit. Ultimately, I feel my opinion is pretty much he had a dirt on a lot of people. And I heard a guy worded like this. You got to remember who he learned from. I forgot what's the faggot ass nigga name that was his mentor. Because I heard Weinstein was his mentor, but the other guy that was married to, I think, what's her name? Nick Cannon, baby mama, Mariah Carey. They said he was openly bisexual after like his second marriage, you know. And this is highly weird, and this is the world we live in, and it's only gonna get worse. Again, yeah, he creating loyalists, and you gonna have a lot of motherfuckers. You know, again, it's easy to say what you stand for and what you believe when you ain't seeing the persecution or the pressure. The scriptures talk about, I forgot what that word, but it says into oppressing. So, the thing is, the Lord, you know, is going to require, certain things from some of us, and the Lord going to hold you to your word. and the elect are going to, stand firm and fast, and Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, stand boldly. And the not elect, they might tuck tail, they might, because again, once motherfuckers wheels start rolling and doors start getting moved around, you know what I mean? Like what the Bertie Back say, furniture get to moving. Anyhow, yeah. So, I mean, may the Lord put the spirit on the sincere Akim to hold true to the faith. I heard brothers making mention of that because, yeah, this shit's scary. You would be a liar to say, how the brother worded, he said, everybody's scared of something. You may not be scared of a man, but you might be scared of what may happen to your child. You know what I mean? And that might make you compromise. I never thought about the Lord put me in that situation. The whole time I'm running to try to be with my kids because I'm looking like when maybe it'd have been better not to be around my kids. But I think the Lord had already had it set up for me to have my kids, and it's part of the test. I got a lot of tribulations and tests, Salakia for going off the topic to a degree. So this is book of Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 13. I might just name this various topics. Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 13. And the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshua said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. If you can't see that this place is spiritually defiled and just, morally, physically, no matter how much they try to dress this shit up, this shit, I'm watching how Obama, it's funny. You got these politicians like Obama, literally took pictures with the Bushes and the Republicans because at the end of the day, it's two sides of the same coin, give you the illusion of choice when really they controlling both sides. That's deep. But when you sit back and take the time to think, manipulate. It's like when you take the time to sit back and think about it. But I heard basically he made a statement talking about the people should literally reach out to their representatives in regards to that bill. It's like because nobody wants to, that's the controlled opposition. You want to make it appear like they have no part with it. Meanwhile, you the same individual, you get an Obamacare phone, and that bitch pretty much records everything, all your contacts, everything that's in your phone going to that phone. Because it's spyware, you know what I mean? and ultimately, like I said, because this place is so defiled, that's why the Lord is going to have to bring judgment through fire, Bear with me for a second. It says you in the law that if you're a priest and pretty much your daughter is a harlot or a prostitute, you're supposed to burn her with fire, And Babylon the Great, aka America, is pretty much likened unto a woman, a harlot that's set on top of the scarlet-colored beast, which is a metaphor for America riding the NATO nations, Yeah. Scriptures talk about 2/3 of the nation of Israel being pretty much burned through the fire, And, let's say Isaiah chapter 66, the Lord coming with, I can't think of it. I'm going to try to get it in mind a little bit everywhere, Salakia. Plus, almost time to go back to work. God damn. Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 15, and it reads, For behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire, which ultimately goes into the chariots coming with those concentrated fire, those laser beams. You got Jeremiah chapter 51 talks about Babylon the Great being burnt with fire, as well as Revelation chapter 18, and it says, I'm going to start at verse 5, and it reads 4. I'm going to start at verse 4, Revelations 18 and 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. which is ultimately those ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. That's her judgment. Reward her even as she was rewarded. Shalaki, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup, Shalaki, in the cup which she have filled to her double. Verse 7. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And that's the pride of these harlots, you know what I mean? Like Babylon the Great, that mindset of the women here, you know what I mean? Bitch could be, you got women with 1,000 bodies. Can you imagine that? Like, think about that. That's gonna be somebody's judgment. Think about the Levitical priest that had the concubine, and pretty much she was raped, and they basically he cut her up and sent her to the other tribes, and it was basically war against the other tribes in Benjamin. That's the mindset that Babylon the Great pushes. You could be this nasty, defiled ass individual as far as a female, because that's nasty, And that, like the scriptures say, your woman shall be a harlot in the streets. We don't have virgins. You know what I mean? Verse 8, Revelation 18:8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua who judgeth her. So ultimately this place is going to be burnt because it's so defiled. If you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you, come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, before that great and terrible day of the Lord cometh. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Loyam, La Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKodash, double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua out there listening and learning, Lord willingly. This was edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly. Shalom, shalom. Kwame Yasharallah. Mawathala Babal.